Dealer Healer tells the story of a young woman who works nights as a blackjack dealer in Macau so that she can go to medical school during the day. No, it isn't. Hi, welcome to the Silver Spleen. My name is Frank Lucas, and this is my review of Dealer Healer. Peter Chan Sun Chi was a gangster, a drug dealer, and a dope fiend. Dealer Healer is his story, and he served as executive producer on the film. Lawrence Lau, who made Queen of Temple Street, Besieged City, and a number of other films with a social conscience, directed. Lau Ching-wan plays Chan, with Gordon Lam and Max Zhang playing his closest friends. Jiang Yiyan plays his long-suffering girlfriend. Louis Koo and Patrick Tam also appear in roles that aren't much larger than cameos, which is unfortunate because they're both as good and as entertaining as you might expect. Even the cameos are great, though. Mantat plays a triad boss with a convincing mixture of menace and humor, and Lo Hoi Pang is typically priceless as a village head with an axe to grind. It was great to see Chen Kuan-tai and Nora Miao on the big screen again. Jacqueline Chong was very funny as one of Louis Koo's girlfriend. Eagle-eyed viewers will spot Justin Chung, but your chance doesn't last long. The story in Dealer Healer moves around a lot, and it doesn't necessarily answer all the questions it asks. Some of the subplots don't get the attention they deserve, or the attention they sometimes need. There's an entire segment that takes place in Japan that is nice to watch, but it doesn't seem to contribute anything. Dealer Healer sometimes seems like several different movies at once. But I really didn't mind because the acting was so entertaining and convincing. With this cast, it would be pretty hard for it to be otherwise. What I enjoyed most about Dealer Healer, though, and what makes it so recommendable for me, is the production design. Most of the movie is set in the 1970s and 80s, and I was pleasantly surprised by how much effort was put into the film to recreate and represent those eras. Dealer Healer is, for the most part, very impressive in this regard. There are rough edges to the production, but I doubt they had a really big budget to work with, so I don't mind. The wigs are terrible, but then again the haircuts that they're representing were awful too, so it can be hard to decide where the blame lies. Max Zhang gets bonus points for kicking in platform shoes and not hurting himself. There's no way to look good in 1970s outfits, but he gets as close as humanly possible. Dealer Healer shows you just how ugly the 70s were in a lot of other ways too. The Kowloon walled city was literally a lawless place, and it was astoundingly filthy. The scenes set there show this reality in unflinching detail. It's just one more way that the movie really impressed me. Speaking of which, I think the filmmakers did a fantastic job finding places to film that were old enough to be period correct. Considering how often and how fast this city gets torn down and rebuilt, it's no small accomplishment. Neither is finding a shockingly significant number of old minibuses that still run. I really hope that there's a documentary, or at least a making of, on the home video release of this movie that talks about finding all of these places to film. Since a good part of the story takes place in the walled city, which no longer exists, digital effects are used at certain points in the film to fill in what is now a blank skyline and a park on the ground. Again, within budgetary considerations, it's effective and certainly does the job. In other scenes, the digital effects don't look as good, but like so much of this movie, I can forgive it because Dealer Healer overall more than makes up for it. The cinematography in this film is really good, though at times I felt like it used color, or the lack thereof, to impart a mood, and it left me a little flat. These days, a lot of movies seem to employ flat, washed out gray a little too much for my taste. I also admit that probably part of me was pining for the 70s and 80s aesthetic in local films, when the colors and lighting were often as lurid as the stories. That approach is used occasionally in Dealer Healer, but I would have liked to have seen it more often. I can easily recommend Dealer Healer because it's as interesting a movie as it is entertaining. It's an extremely ambitious film, and while it doesn't necessarily achieve all of its goals, I can really appreciate and admire the effort. It's not a perfect movie, but I don't think it it could have been. Like I said, I really enjoyed watching the movie. I enjoyed thinking about it. I look forward to seeing it again. And I can say, for me personally, the good parts of this film far outweigh the bad, and most of the bad things are understandable. I wish there were more movies like this made in Hong Kong. If you want to watch this movie in the cinema, I would recommend it because it actually works well on a big screen and you get a chance to examine things in detail. And for me, it just made the movie much more interesting than watching it on a television or, God forbid, on a phone. If you don't get a chance to watch it in the cinema, wait till you can rent it or buy a disc. Don't steal this movie. When it gets released to home video, I'll update the description with a link where you could buy a copy. And as long as we're talking about money, please go to my Patreon page and give me money. It's embarrassing to have to say that, but then again, it's embarrassing not having money too. If you enjoyed my review, please let me know. If you didn't, let me know. If you enjoy the channel, please subscribe. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you again soon.